You have been sold a lie, a very expensive, very exhausting lie. Don't believe me? Well, tell me this. Do any of these sound familiar? Hashtag hustle and grind. Outwork everyone. Sleep when you're dead, bro. The lie says that the answer to your anxiety is to do more. If you just send more emails, make more calls, post more content, wake up earlier, sleep less, eventually you will arrive. Eventually you will be enough. Eventually you can rest. But you don't arrive. You just get tired. You aren't building an empire. You're digging a hole. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. You know this. You feel it in your body. The exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. The anxiety that achievement doesn't cure. The emptiness that comes after every milestone because the finish line moved the moment you crossed it. A recent study found that 76% of high performers report chronic burnout, not occasional stress. Chronic, meaning it never stops, meaning the system isn't working, meaning the harder you run, the further behind you fall. Modern hustle culture isn't about productivity, it's about fear. The fear that you are not enough. The fear that if you stop, you'll be left behind. The fear that rest is weakness and stillness is failure. The Stoics saw this 2,000 years ago. Seneca looked around at the busy, frantic Romans rushing through the forum, climbing social ladders, chasing wealth and status, and he called them breathless. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And he wrote an entire essay to one friend with one message. You are not living. You are busy, and busy is not the same as alive. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire. He fought wars. He managed crises. And yet he wrote in his private journal, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Or more accurately, do what's essential. Not do more. Do less. From a man who had every reason to grind himself into dust, and he's telling you the opposite. Today, we're going to stop wasting your life. We are going to trade the anxiety of the hustle for the power of the Stoic. Here are the 5 rules that will end the grind and actually let you start living. Because if you don't learn to stop running, you will never actually get anywhere. You'll just die tired. Let's start with the first rule, the one that dismantles the entire foundation of hustle culture, the one that makes you bulletproof. Rule 1. Focus on effort, not outcomes. The first rule, stop obsessing over outcomes. Start obsessing over proheresis, your moral choice, your effort, the thing you actually control. Here's what hustle culture does to you. It trains you to check the scoreboard every 5 minutes. You post content, refresh the view count. You launch a product, refresh the sales page. You send the pitch, check your inbox 40 times. You work out, step on the scale immediately. You are not working, you are refreshing. You are not building. You are waiting for validation that may never come. And every time the number isn't what you wanted, you spiral, you question yourself, you panic, you decide you need to do more content, more emails, more hours, more sacrifice. Because surely, if you just do more, the outcome will change. Except it won't, because you don't control the outcome. Epictetus taught the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, some things are not, and wisdom is knowing the difference. What's up to you? Your effort, your intention, your integrity, your choices. What's not up to you? Whether people buy, whether the algorithm favors you, whether they say yes, whether the market crashes, whether the timing is right. When you tie your self-worth to an outcome you don't control, you are signing a contract for permanent anxiety. Because no matter how hard you work, the outcome can still go against you. The video can flop. The client can ghost. The launch can fail. And if your identity is tied to that result, you collapse with it. Here's what this looks like in real life. You spend 3 months building something. You pour everything into it. You launch it, and it doesn't perform the way you imagined. So you tell yourself you failed. You tell yourself you wasted your time. You tell yourself you're not good enough. And you either quit or you double down on the grind, working even harder, sleeping even less, sacrificing even more, because you think the problem is that you didn't do enough. But the Stoic asks a different question. Did I do the work well? Did I show up with integrity? Did I give my best effort? If the answer is yes, then you succeeded. The outcome is irrelevant. You controlled what you could control. You executed your part. The rest is not yours. This is proheresis. It's the Greek word for moral choice, for the faculty of decision. It's the one thing that is completely, entirely, always within your control, not the result. The choice to act with virtue. The choice to show up. The choice to do your best. That's it. That's all you control. And when you focus only on that, you become untouchable. The hustler is fragile. One bad quarter, one bad review, one algorithm change, and he shatters because his entire identity is wrapped up in outcomes he doesn't control. The Stoic is anti-fragile. He gets stronger with chaos because his identity is wrapped up in effort, intention, and virtue, things no external force can take from him. Let me give you a concrete example. You're building a business. Hustle culture says, check the revenue every day, obsess over competitors, panic if growth slows, work harder if numbers drop. The Stoic says, did I serve my clients well today? Did I build something valuable? Did I act with integrity? If yes, then today was a success. Revenue will follow, or it won't. But your peace of mind is not for sale. You're creating content. Hustle culture says the views determine your worth. If it doesn't hit, you failed. The Stoic says, did I make something I'm proud of? Did I say something true? Did I put in the effort? If yes, then you won. The algorithm can do whatever it wants. Your self-respect is not tied to it. You're in a job you hate, grinding for a promotion. Hustle culture says, outwork everyone, sacrifice everything, the promotion will make it worth it. The Stoic says, am I doing work I believe in? Am I developing skills that matter? Am I acting with integrity? If no, then the promotion is a trap. If yes, then the promotion is irrelevant. You're already winning. Here's the shift. The moment you stop caring about outcomes and start caring only about effort, you are free. You are no longer held hostage by things you can't control. You are no longer devastated by bad luck or circumstances. You show up. You do the work. You walk away. And you sleep like a Stoic, deeply, calmly, knowing you did your part. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is it. This is the entire game. You control your choices. You don't control the world's response, and the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, anxiety dies. But here's where people get this wrong. They think this means don't care about results. That's not what this means. Care about results, plan for results, work toward results, but don't attach to them. Don't make them the measure of your worth. Because the moment you do, you've given away your power. You've made your peace dependent on something outside yourself, and that is the definition of slavery. So here's the first rule in practice. Every morning, before you start working, ask yourself, what is within my control today? Make a list. It will be short. Your effort, your attitude, your integrity, your focus. That's it. Everything else, sales, views, responses, outcomes, is not on the list. So stop checking it like it is. Do your part, then let go. And here's what happens when you do this consistently. You stop burning out. Because burnout isn't caused by hard work. Burnout is caused by working hard on things you can't control and then blaming yourself when they don't work out. When you focus only on effort, you work just as hard, but without the anxiety, without the panic, without the crushing weight of needing the universe to cooperate with your plans. The Stoic works with intensity, but it's a quiet intensity. It's not loud, it's not frantic, it's not desperate. It's focused, deliberate, and detached from outcome. And that, more than grinding 18 hours a day, is what creates legendary results. Because here's the paradox. The less you care about outcomes, the better your outcomes become. Not because you stopped trying, but because you stopped needing. And when you stop needing, you stop making desperate decisions. You stop chasing. You stop panicking. You just build, calmly, relentlessly, and the world responds to that energy. So that's rule 1. Focus on prohairesis. Focus on effort. Let go of outcomes. Master what you control. Ignore what you don't, and watch how quickly the anxiety dies. But even if you master this, you can still burn out. Because there's a second rule that most people ignore, and it's the one that determines whether you're actually living or just busy. Rule 2. Quality over quantity. Remember, you will die. The second rule, value quality over quantity, because you are dying. And time is the one resource you can never get back. Hustle culture treats time like it's infinite. I'll rest when I make $1 million. I'll spend time with my kids when this project is done. I'll take care of my health after I hit my goals. You live like you have forever. Like there's always more time later. Like the grind is temporary and the reward is permanent. But Seneca screams at us from 2,000 years ago. You live as if you were destined to live forever. You treat your time as abundant when in fact it is running out. You squander your hours on trivial things and then wonder why life feels short. Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. This is not morbid. This is not depressing. This is the most clarifying filter you will ever apply to your life. Because the moment you accept that your time is finite, you stop wasting it. You stop saying yes to meetings that don't matter. You stop arguing with strangers online. You stop scrolling for 3 hours. You stop doing busy work that makes you feel productive but accomplishes nothing. You stop grinding on things that don't move the needle. Here's the question that changes everything. If this were my last year, would I spend it doing this? Not my last day. That's too extreme. Your last year. Enough time to do something meaningful, not enough time to waste. If the answer is no, then why are you doing it now? You think you have more time than you do. You think later exists. It doesn't. Every day you waste is gone. You don't get it back. There is no rewind. There is no redo. There is only now. And now is running out. Let me make this visceral. You have on average 4,000 weeks to live. If you're 30, You've already used 1,560 of them. If you're 40, you've used 2,080. And you're spending those weeks, those irreplaceable, non-renewable weeks, refreshing your email, arguing in comment sections, attending meetings that could have been a text, doing work you hate for money you don't need to impress people you don't like. Seneca says, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." You wouldn't let someone steal $100 from you, but you'll let them steal an hour. You'll sit in a pointless meeting. You'll scroll for 90 minutes. You'll waste half your day on tasks that don't matter. And then you'll wonder why you feel like life is slipping through your fingers. Here's what this looks like in modern life. You're working 70 hours a week. But if you tracked it honestly, 40 of those hours are low value. Emails that didn't need to be sent. Meetings that didn't need to happen. Tasks you're doing because that's what everyone does, not because they move you forward. You're not productive. You're busy. And busy is the enemy of meaningful. The Stoic doesn't do more things. The Stoic does better things, fewer things, essential things, things that matter. And he does them with full attention, full effort, full presence, not while checking his phone, not while half-focused. Fully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do less, better. Most of what we say and do is not essential. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Is this necessary?" That's the filter. Every task, every meeting, every commitment, every scroll, every distraction. Is this necessary? Does this move me toward what matters? Or is this just noise? If it's noise, cut it ruthlessly, because you are dying, and every hour spent on noise is an hour stolen from meaning. Here's the shift. Stop measuring success by how much you do. Start measuring success by how much you eliminate. The hustler has 47 things on his to-do list and feels accomplished when he checks them all off. The Stoic has 3 things on his list, and they're the only 3 things that matter. He does them deeply, completely. Then he stops. Because quality beats quantity every single time. One deep conversation is worth more than 50 shallow ones. One focused hour is worth more than 5 distracted ones. One meaningful project is worth more than 10 mediocre ones. And here's what nobody tells you. The reason you feel so exhausted isn't because you're working hard. It's because you're working on too many things that don't matter. Your energy isn't depleted by effort. It's depleted by fragmentation, by context switching, by shallow work that feels productive but accomplishes nothing. Cal Newport calls this pseudo-productivity. You're checking boxes, responding to notifications, attending meetings, sending emails, and at the end of the day, you've done a lot, but you haven't done anything that moves the needle. You've been busy, but you haven't built anything. The Stoic eliminates pseudo-productivity. He protects his time like it's the most valuable asset in the world, because it is. He says no to almost everything, and the few things he says yes to, he does with violence, with intensity, with focus. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine you only have 6 months left, not to be morbid, just as a filter. What would you stop doing immediately? What would you start doing? What would you eliminate? What would you protect? Now ask yourself, why aren't you living that way now? You think you have more time than 6 months. But you don't know that. None of us do. And even if you live to 90, 6 months from now will still be gone. So why are you spending it on things that don't matter? Here's the practical application. Every Sunday, make a list of everything you did that week. Then ask, if I only had 1 year left, would I do this again? If the answer is no, stop doing it. Delegate it. Eliminate it. Automate it. But stop spending your finite life on it. And here's what happens when you do this. You don't work less. You work better. You have fewer tasks, but the tasks you have are the ones that matter. You have fewer commitments, but the commitments you keep are the ones that build the life you actually want. You stop being busy, and you start being effective. Seneca says, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Life is long enough, and it's been given to us in generous measure for accomplishing the greatest things, if we spend it well. Memento Mori doesn't mean be depressed because you're dying. It means be ruthless with your time because it's running out. It means stop wasting your life on things that don't matter. It means stop pretending you have forever. You don't. So act like it. And when you do, when you start valuing quality over quantity, when you start protecting your time like the non-renewable resource it is, everything changes. You stop feeling guilty for saying no. You stop feeling behind. You stop grinding yourself into dust for things that don't matter. You become focused, intentional, alive. And that's what the Stoic path offers. Not more work, better work. Not more time, better use of time. Not more life, more living. So here's the self-check. In the last week, how many hours did you spend on things that genuinely matter? And how many did you waste on noise, emails, meetings, scrolling, busy work that felt productive but moved nothing forward? Be honest. Write the number down, and then ask, if you only had 52 weeks left, would you spend them the same way? If the answer is no, then stop. Today, not next week, not after this project. Today, because you don't get those hours back, and one day you'll run out. The only question is whether you'll have spent them well. But even if you master effort and eliminate the noise, there's a third rule, and this one is the antidote to the toxic positivity that hustle culture runs on. This is the rule that kills anxiety at the root. Rule 3. Visualize the worst case, the antidote to toxic positivity. The third rule, stop pretending everything will work out. Start preparing for the worst, because the worst case scenario isn't as bad as you think, and facing it is what kills the fear. Hustle culture runs on toxic positivity. Good vibes only. Manifest your dreams. The universe has your back. It's all surface-level optimism designed to cover up the terror underneath. The terror that maybe it won't work out. Maybe you'll fail. Maybe you'll lose everything. So you don't think about it. You push it down. You work harder to outrun it. But the fear doesn't go away. It just grows. Because the thing you won't face owns you. The Stoics had a practice for this. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. You sit down, and instead of pretending everything will be fine, you look directly at the worst-case scenario. You visualize it. You play it out. What if I lose the client? What if the business fails? What if I go broke? What if they reject me? What if I embarrass myself? And here's what you realize when you actually face it. You would survive. You wouldn't die. You wouldn't collapse. You would figure it out. You would adapt. You would rebuild. The worst-case scenario is uncomfortable, but it's not the end of the world. And the moment you accept that, the fear loses its power. Because here's the truth about anxiety. It's not caused by the thing you're afraid of. It's caused by avoiding the thing you're afraid of. You don't want to think about failure, so you run from it. You work harder, you grind more, you distract yourself, but the fear is still there, underneath everything, driving every decision. The Stoic doesn't run from fear. He walks toward it. He looks it in the eye. He says, "Okay, what's the worst that happens?" And then he prepares for it, not obsessively, not anxiously, just calmly, rationally, like packing a raincoat before a storm. Here's what this looks like in practice. You're about to launch something. Hustle culture says, think positive, it's going to crush, so you don't prepare for failure. You don't have a backup plan. You don't emotionally brace for the possibility that it might flop. And when it does, because sometimes things flop, you're devastated. You spiral. You question everything. The Stoic, before the launch, sits down and asks, what if this fails? What happens? Maybe I lose some money. Maybe I look foolish. Maybe I have to start over. Okay. And then what? I'd figure it out. I'd learn from it. I'd try again. Or I'd pivot. Either way, I'd survive. And now that he's faced the worst case, he's free. Because he's not afraid of it anymore. He's prepared for it. So when he launches, he's not desperate. He's not attached. He's not panicking. He's just executing. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, he already knows what he'll do next. That's the difference between the hustler and the Stoic. The hustler is controlled by fear of failure, so he overworks to prevent it. The Stoic has already accepted failure as a possibility, so he works calmly without desperation. Let me give you another example. You're afraid of losing your job. Hustle culture says, work harder, make yourself indispensable, never stop grinding. So you sacrifice everything, health, relationships, sanity, to keep the job. You're exhausted, you're miserable, but you can't stop because you're terrified of what happens if you lose it. The Stoic sits down and asks, what if I lose the job? What happens? I'd need to find another one. I'd probably have to cut expenses for a while. It would be uncomfortable, but I'd survive. I've survived worse. I'd figure it out. And now that he's faced it, he's no longer controlled by it. He still works hard, but not out of fear, out of intention. And if he loses the job anyway, he doesn't collapse. He executes the plan he already visualized. This is the power of premeditatio malorum. It's not pessimism, it's preparation. It's the difference between being blindsided by disaster and being ready for it. And when you're ready for the worst, you're free to work toward the best without the anxiety. Seneca practiced this daily. Every morning he'd visualize losing everything, his wealth, his status, his freedom, not to be miserable, but to be prepared, so that if it happened, he wouldn't be destroyed. He'd be ready. And here's the paradox. The more you prepare for the worst, the less likely it is to destroy you when it happens, because you've already processed it, you've already mourned it, you've already planned for it. So when it arrives, it's not a shock. It's just another thing to handle. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop avoiding the hard questions. Stop pretending failure isn't possible. Stop running from the fear. Face it. Write it down. What's the worst that could happen? And then ask, could I survive that? The answer is almost always yes. And here's what happens when you do this regularly. Anxiety drops. Because anxiety is fueled by the unknown, by the thing you won't look at, by the shadow you keep running from. But when you turn around and face the shadow, you realize it's just a shadow. It's not as big as you thought. It's not as dangerous as you feared. It's just a possibility, and possibilities can be prepared for. So here's the self-check. What are you afraid of right now? What's the thing you're working so hard to prevent? What's the disaster you're running from? Write it down. Be specific. I'm afraid I'll lose the client. I'm afraid the launch will fail. I'm afraid I'll go broke. Now ask, what happens if that happens? Walk through it, step by step. What would you actually do? How would you actually handle it? And then ask, would I survive? The answer is yes, you would. And the moment you realize that, the fear shrinks. Because the Stoic isn't fearless. He's just not controlled by fear. He's looked at the worst case. He's accepted it. He's prepared for it. And now he's free to act without desperation, without panic, without the crushing weight of needing everything to go perfectly. And that freedom, that calm, grounded, unshakable freedom, is what makes the Stoic unstoppable. Before we go into the next rule, I need you to do something. Right now. Pause this video if you need to. Think about what you did today. Or, if it's early, think about yesterday. List 3 things you actually spent time on. Not what you planned to do. What you actually did. Got them? Good. Now ask yourself, were those things important, or were they just urgent? Because here's the trap. Hustle culture has trained you to confuse urgency with importance. The email that needs a response, the notification that needs to be checked, the fire that needs to be put out. Everything feels urgent. So you spend your entire day reacting, responding, putting out fires, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but you didn't actually build anything. Important things are rarely urgent. Building a skill, deepening a relationship, creating something meaningful, thinking deeply about your direction. These things don't scream at you. They don't send notifications. They don't demand immediate attention. So they get ignored, pushed to later, sacrificed for the urgent things that don't actually matter. Dwight Eisenhower, who had to make life and death decisions daily, used a simple matrix: urgent and important. Urgent but not important. Important but not urgent. Neither urgent nor important. Most people spend 80% of their time on things that are urgent but not important. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel behind, why nothing meaningful ever gets built. The Stoic inverts this. He spends 80% of his time on things that are important but not urgent. And he lets the urgent, unimportant things die. He doesn't answer every email. He doesn't attend every meeting. He doesn't put out every fire. He protects his time for what matters, and he lets everything else burn. So look at your 3 things again. Were they important, or were they just loud? If they were just loud, then today was stolen from you, not by someone else, by you, because you didn't protect what mattered. That stops now. Let's talk about the 4th rule, the one that ends the war you've been fighting with reality. Rule 4, love the outcome. Embrace your fate. The 4th rule, stop fighting reality. Start loving it. Because every ounce of energy you spend wishing things were different is energy you're not spending on making things better. Hustle culture is a constant war against what is. You didn't hit the goal, so you beat yourself up. The launch didn't go as planned, so you spiral. Someone said no, so you take it personally and work harder to prove them wrong. You are in a constant battle with circumstances, trying to force reality to match your expectations. And when it doesn't, you suffer. The Stoic does the opposite. He practices Amor Fati, love of fate, not just accepting what happens, loving what happens, embracing it, using it, seeing it as exactly what was supposed to happen because it did happen. This isn't passivity. This isn't giving up. This is the ultimate form of power, because when you stop resisting reality, you stop wasting energy on things you can't change. And all that energy, all that frustration, all that anger, all that "why did this happen to me?" gets redirected into "what do I do now?" Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the core of Stoic philosophy. The obstacle is not blocking your path. The obstacle is the path. The thing you're fighting against is the thing you're supposed to use. Here's what this looks like in real life. You lose a client. Hustle culture says, "This is a disaster. I failed. I need to work harder to get them back or replace them immediately." So you panic, you overwork, you make desperate decisions. The Stoic says, "Good. This frees up time to find a better client, or to refine my offer, or to build something I've been putting off. This happened for a reason. Let's find out what it is." You get rejected from an opportunity you wanted. Hustle culture says, "I wasn't good enough. I need to prove myself. I need to work twice as hard." The Stoic says, "Good. That opportunity wasn't the right fit. Now I have space for the one that is. Or this rejection is teaching me something I need to learn." Either way, this is useful. You face a setback, a failure, a collapse. Hustle culture says, "This shouldn't have happened. I should have worked harder. I should have been smarter." The Stoic says, "This happened. Now what?" No wasted energy on regret. No spiraling into self-blame. Just immediate pivot to the next move. See the difference? The hustler is fighting a war he can't win because you can't control outcomes. You can't force reality to cooperate. You can work yourself into the ground and things will still go wrong. People will still say no. Plans will still fall apart. Disasters will still happen. And if your entire strategy is to prevent bad things from happening, you will spend your entire life exhausted and disappointed. The Stoic doesn't prevent bad things. He uses them. He looks at every setback and asks, "How is this useful? What can I learn? What opportunity does this create?" And he finds an answer every single time. Because every obstacle contains a hidden advantage if you're willing to stop complaining long enough to see it. Nietzsche, who studied the Stoics deeply, said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, but love it. Love it, not tolerate it, not accept it. Love it, because it is what's real, and reality is the only material you have to work with. You can waste your life wishing you had different material, or you can build something extraordinary with the material in front of you." Here's the shift. Every time something goes wrong, instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Or, "What opportunity is hidden here?" Or, "How do I use this?" You got fired. What's the opportunity? Maybe it's the push you needed to start the business you've been putting off. You got sick. What's the lesson? Maybe it's that you've been ignoring your health and your body is forcing you to pay attention. You lost the deal. What's hidden here? Maybe it's that your offer wasn't strong enough and now you have the feedback you need to make it better. There's always something. always a lesson, always an advantage, always a way forward. But you won't see it if you're too busy being angry that things didn't go the way you wanted. Here's a real example from my own life. I once spent months building something I was sure would succeed. I poured everything into it, and it failed, completely, embarrassingly. I could have spiraled. I could have decided I wasn't good enough. I could have given up. Instead, I asked, what did this teach me? And the answer was clear. I had been building what I thought people wanted, not what they actually needed. That failure gave me the clarity I needed to build the next thing, the thing that actually worked. The obstacle became the way. And here's what happens when you practice this consistently. You stop fearing failure, because failure isn't the end. It's just information, it's feedback, it's redirection. You stop fearing rejection, because rejection isn't a statement about your worth. It's just a mismatch. You stop fearing obstacles, because obstacles are just puzzles, and puzzles are how you get stronger. The hustler sees every setback as proof that he's not working hard enough, so he works harder and harder and harder until he burns out. The Stoic sees every setback as proof that reality is giving him new information. So he adapts, he pivots, he uses it, and he becomes anti-fragile, stronger with every challenge. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The trials are not interruptions, they are the process. The friction is not the enemy, it's the tool. And if you spend your life avoiding friction, you will never be polished. You will stay rough, unformed, weak. So stop wishing your life were easier. Start using the difficulty. Stop fighting the outcome. Start loving it, not because it's pleasant, but because it's real. And real is all you have to work with. Here's the practical application. The next time something goes wrong, and it will, pause before you react. Don't spiral. Don't panic. Don't blame yourself or others. Just ask, how do I use this? And then find the answer. Write it down if you have to. Force yourself to find at least one way the obstacle is actually useful. And here's what you'll discover. There's always an answer. Always. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes you have to dig, but it's always there. And the more you practice finding it, the faster you get. Until eventually, obstacles don't even feel like obstacles anymore. They just feel like part of the game. And when you reach that point, when you genuinely love your fate, when you embrace reality instead of fighting it, you become unstoppable. Because nothing can break you, nothing can discourage you, nothing can make you quit. Because you've stopped needing reality to cooperate. You've learned to use whatever reality gives you. That's Amor, Fati. That's the Stoic path. That's freedom. But even if you master effort, eliminate the noise, prepare for the worst, and love the outcome, there's one final rule. And it's the one that most hustlers will never accept, because it requires admitting that rest is not the enemy, it's the weapon. Rule 5. Rest is a weapon, not a weakness. The fifth and final rule, you are allowed to stop. In fact, you must stop, because rest is not a reward for productivity. Rest is a requirement for it. Here is the hardest truth for the modern mind to accept. You cannot perform at a high level indefinitely. You cannot grind 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and maintain clarity, creativity, or effectiveness. You are not a machine. You are a human being, and human beings require rest, not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity. Hustle culture tells you the opposite. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Rest is for the weak. If you're not grinding, someone else is. So you push through exhaustion. You ignore your body's signals. You wear burnout like a badge of honor, and you tell yourself that rest is something you'll do later, when you've made it, when you've succeeded, when you've earned it. But later never comes, because the finish line keeps moving. There's always another goal, another milestone, another thing you need to achieve before you're allowed to stop. So you never stop. You just grind yourself into dust. And then you wonder why you feel empty, exhausted, and disconnected from everything that used to matter. The Stoics understood this. Seneca took cold plunges daily, not for performance optimization, but for mental clarity and physical renewal. Marcus Aurelius retreated to his journals regularly, not because he had free time, but because he needed the space to think, to process, to recalibrate. These were not men with easy lives. They had every excuse to grind endlessly, but they didn't, because they understood something that modern hustle culture has forgotten. The mind is like a bow. If you keep it strung tight forever, it will snap. Rest is not weakness. Rest is maintenance. It's how you sharpen the blade. It's how you refill the well. It's how you maintain the clarity and energy required to do deep, meaningful work. Without rest, you're not working at full capacity. You're working from depletion. And depleted work is shallow, reactive, and ineffective. Here's what this looks like in practice. You've been grinding for weeks, months, maybe years. You're exhausted, but you tell yourself you can't stop. There's too much to do, too much at stake, so you keep pushing. And your work gets worse. You make mistakes you wouldn't normally make. You miss things you would normally catch. You're irritable, unfocused, running on fumes. But you keep going because stopping feels like giving up. The Stoic stops, not because he's lazy, but because he knows that continuing in this state is counterproductive. He takes a day, a weekend, a week if needed. He rests, truly rests, not scrolling, not half-working, not relaxing while mentally running through his to-do list. He disconnects, he walks, he reads, he thinks, he does nothing. And when he returns, he's sharp again, clear, effective. He does in 2 focused hours what would have taken him 8 exhausted hours before. This is the paradox of rest. It makes you more productive, not less, because productivity is not about hours logged. It's about output per unit of effort. And when you're depleted, your output drops. You can work 14 hours and accomplish what a rested person accomplishes in 3. So the real question is not, can I afford to rest? The real question is, can I afford not to? But here's where people get rest wrong. They confuse rest with distraction. Scrolling TikTok for 3 hours is not rest. Watching Netflix while half paying attention is not rest. Drinking to numb the exhaustion is not rest. These are forms of avoidance. They don't restore you. They just delay the collapse. True rest is intentional. It's silence. It's walking without your phone. It's reading something that makes you think, not something that distracts you. It's sitting with your thoughts instead of running from them. It's giving your mind space to process, to wander, to reset. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first, because you're so used to constant stimulation that silence feels wrong. But that discomfort is proof that you need it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "People seek retreats for themselves in the country, by the sea, or in the mountains. You are very much in the habit of yearning for those same things. But this is entirely the trait of a base person, when you can, at any moment, find such a retreat in yourself. For nowhere can you find a more peaceful and less busy retreat than in your own soul. You don't need to go to Bali. You don't need a vacation. You don't need to quit your job and move to a cabin. You need to stop, to sit, to breathe, to give yourself permission to do nothing for even 20 minutes without guilt. Because that stillness, that intentional rest, is where clarity lives. It's where creativity is born. It's where the answers you've been grinding for suddenly appear. Here's a concrete example. You're stuck on a problem. You've been working on it for hours, days. You're forcing it. You're exhausted, and it's not coming together. Hustle culture says, keep grinding, work harder. The solution is just one more hour away. So you stay up late, you skip meals, you push through. The Stoic walks away, he goes for a walk, he takes a nap, he reads something unrelated, and while he's resting, his subconscious is working, and the solution appears, not while he's grinding, but while he's still. Because rest is not the absence of productivity. Rest is where deep work happens. Cal Newport in Deep Work explains that the brain needs downtime to process complex information. The best ideas don't come from forcing them. They come from giving the mind space to make connections subconsciously. That's why the shower is where you have breakthroughs. That's why walks produce insights. That's why sleep is when your brain consolidates learning. Rest is not time wasted. Rest is when the magic happens. So here's the shift. Stop treating rest as something you earn. Start treating rest as something you require. Schedule it. Protect it. The way you protect a meeting with a client, protect time to do nothing. And when you rest, rest fully. No phone, no work thoughts, no guilt. Just rest. And here's what happens when you do this. You stop burning out. You stop making stupid mistakes. You stop feeling like you're running on empty. Your work improves. Your clarity returns. Your energy stabilizes. And paradoxically, you accomplish more because you're working from fullness, not depletion. Seneca said, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will rise improved and sharper after a good break." Just as rich fields must not be forced, they will soon lose their fertility if never given a break. So constant work will sap the mind's vigor, while it will recover and rise if given rest and release. Rest is not the enemy of productivity. Rest is the foundation of it, and the moment you accept this, you stop grinding yourself into exhaustion and start working like a Stoic, with intensity, with focus, with rest. Because rest is how you sustain intensity. Rest is how you maintain focus. Rest is the weapon that makes everything else possible. So here's the self-check. When was the last time you rested, not scrolled, not distracted yourself, actually rested, sat in silence, walked without a destination, thought without an agenda, gave yourself permission to do nothing and felt no guilt about it? If you can't remember, then you're running on fumes, and it's only a matter of time before you crash. So stop. Today, not next week, not after this project. Today, take 1 hour, no phone, no work, no distractions, just rest. And notice what happens. Notice how your mind clears. Notice how your body relaxes. Notice how the problems you've been grinding on suddenly have obvious solutions. That's the power of rest. That's the fifth rule, and it's the one that separates the people who burn out from the people who last. So now you have the 5 rules. Let me show you what this looks like when you actually live it. You wake up. Hustle culture says, check your phone immediately. Start grinding. Get ahead. The Stoic says, sit in silence for 10 minutes. Remind yourself what you control, your effort, and what you don't, the outcome. Identify the one thing that matters today. not 10 things. 1. You start working. Hustle culture says multitask. Respond to emails. Check notifications. Be available. The Stoic says deep work. One task, full focus. No phone, no distractions. 2 hours of deep work beats 8 hours of shallow work every single time. Something goes wrong. The client says no. The launch flops. The plan falls apart. Hustle culture says panic, spiral, work harder, fix it immediately. The Stoic says pause. Ask, how do I use this? Find the lesson. Pivot calmly. Move forward without drama. You finish your work. Hustle culture says, keep going. There's more to do. Someone else is grinding while you rest. The Stoic says, stop. You did the work. You controlled what you could. Now rest. Fully. Intentionally. Without guilt. You go to bed. Hustle culture says, scroll until you pass out. Hustle porn says, sleep 4 hours. Grind tomorrow. The Stoic says, reflect. What did I control today? What did I learn? What matters tomorrow? Then sleep deeply, knowing you did your part. That's the Stoic life. It's not easier than the hustle. It's harder because it requires discipline, real discipline, not just forcing yourself to work more. It requires saying no. It requires eliminating. It requires facing fear. It requires loving outcomes you didn't want. It requires resting when every instinct says to keep grinding. But here's what it gives you: clarity, peace, effectiveness, freedom. You stop running the rat race and start building something real. You stop being busy and start being alive. You stop grinding yourself into dust and start working with quiet, devastating intensity. And the results? They come, not because you forced them, but because you stopped wasting energy on noise and started investing it in what matters. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, I want you to apply just one rule. Rule 1. Focus on effort, not outcomes. For 24 hours, do not check the scoreboard. Do not refresh the analytics. Do not check how many views, how many likes, how many sales. Do not ask, is this working? Just do the work. Show up with full effort, full integrity, full presence, and then walk away. At the end of 24 hours, ask yourself, did I control what I could control? If the answer is yes, you succeeded. The outcome doesn't matter. You did your part. That's the win. And here's what will happen. You'll notice how much energy you've been wasting on things you can't control. You'll notice how much anxiety drops when you stop checking. You'll notice that the work itself becomes easier when you're not constantly evaluating whether it's working. If you can do this for 24 hours, you can do it for a week. If you can do it for a week, you can make it a lifestyle. And once you do, you'll never go back to the hustle, because you'll have tasted something better, something deeper, something that actually lasts. The hustle is a treadmill. You can run forever and never arrive. The Stoic path is a mountain. It's harder to climb, but when you get to the top, you actually see something. So make the choice. Stay on the treadmill or start climbing. If you've made it this far, you've just done something most people refuse to do. You've confronted the lie you've been living. You've questioned the system you've been running in. You've considered that maybe, just maybe, there's a better way. And there is. You don't need to outwork everyone. You don't need to sacrifice everything. You don't need to grind yourself into exhaustion to prove your worth. You need to focus on what you control. You need to eliminate what doesn't matter. You need to prepare for the worst. You need to love what happens, and you need to rest like it's part of the work. Because it is. The Stoics built empires, they led armies, they governed nations, and they did it without burning out, because they understood something that modern hustle culture has forgotten. Power comes from clarity, not chaos. Effectiveness comes from focus, not frenzy. Success comes from doing less, better, not doing more, worse. Marcus Aurelius ran Rome, and he still found time to write in his journal every night. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in the empire, and he still took time to think, to rest, to reflect. Epictetus was a slave who became one of history's greatest teachers, and he built his philosophy on one principle: control what you can, let go of what you can't. That's the path. That's the standard. That's what this is all about. So stop running, stop grinding, stop chasing the horizon that moves every time you get close. Start building, start focusing, start living like someone who knows they're going to die and refuses to waste the time they have left. Now, I just threw a lot of info at you, and it is normal and expected for you to be a bit overwhelmed. That is why I also made a more condensed version of this video. It will go through the same general concepts, but in much less detail. It will be a great way to help these lessons take root in your mind and allow you to begin putting them to the test immediately. Because philosophy without application is just theory. And you didn't come here for theory. You came here for transformation. Make the list, do the work, love the fate, rest when you need to, and watch how quickly the anxiety dies and the clarity returns. And as always, stay stoic, my friend.